Hello and welcome to RIT SportsZone. I'm John DeTullio.
And I'm Kristen Klatt. Since stunning third-ranked Michigan on opening night, the RIT men's hockey team found themselves in an early season rut.
With just 2 wins in their first 7 games, the Tigers hope to get back on track on home ice. RIT facing Mercyhurst at a sold-out Ritter Arena. Second period, Tigers trailing 3-1 on the power play, though. Greg Noy scores to bring the Tigers to within 1. Later in the period, RIT on the man advantage again, and they capitalize again. Mike Kolovecchia gets the equalizer, 3-3, heading to the third. But in the third, it was all Lakers. Tyler Shiplow fires it, and Jordan Ruby never saw it. Mercyhurst would add an empty netter and win 5-3. The Tigers looking to avoid the weekend sweep, taking on Canisius. We pick it up in the second, RIT down 3-2. But Adam Mitchell ties it up with the power play goal. It was 3-3.
We are tied at 3. Adam Mitchell.
In the third, Tigers get sloppy. Patrick Sullivan takes the puck away behind the net and puts it off Josh Watson. Canisius added 2 empty netters as they win 6-3. RIT has lost 3 home games in league play for the first time since joining the AHA back in 2006. Just a reminder, if you missed a game this season, we've got you covered. You can find complete highlights right now by visiting Hockey Central on RITSZ.com. And there's more hockey ahead in the coming weeks. Our next live broadcast of RIT men's hockey is on Black Friday as the Tigers host Clarkson, followed by a pair of conference games with Sacred Heart in December.
One of the Tigers' strengths the last few years has been their goaltending. Jared DeMichael led RIT to a Frozen Four appearance, while Shane Matalora helped the Tigers reach the AHA Conference Finals the past 2 seasons.
And as Gene Battaglia reports, this year there still doesn't appear to be a clear-cut number 1. That's all right with Josh Watson and Jordan Ruby.
Kept in. Quick shots and the save made by goaltender Josh Watson. He looked it right in.
All right, so let's just get this out of the way. There is no rivalry between you two. You're actually good friends off the ice too, correct?
Yeah, absolutely. For the past 2 years have been great, or past year and a half so far with him has been great. I mean, there's nothing against us. Like we live together and stuff like that, so we deal with each other every day, and it's just kind of a nice competition that we're having.
Well, there can only be one of you guys on the ice. Obviously, it's not like you're line mates. So how do you balance being a good teammate and being a good friend when you guys are both competitors?
It is, of course, everyone wants to play, but at the same time, you want to have a good other goalie to keep you working hard in practice and push yourself to the limits. And you know, you have rough days here and there, just like today or a couple days ago when Waddy brings me up or I bring up Waddy, and it's just hockey's a love-hate relationship. I say some days it goes well, some days it doesn't. So that's when we need each other to bring ourselves up. And know what? If your team's winning, the team's winning, then it's easy to be happy then.
I mean, obviously we both always want to play, you know, and it's not always going to work that way, and we realize it, especially coming in and when you have 3 goalies in college hockey in general, and you're all kind of battling out for the starting job. And I think me and Ruby especially kind of develop a good relationship where like we know that we're not always going to be able to go out there and play every single night, and that we're both pretty good goaltenders. So we kind of like root for each other on the side, but in the back of your head, you still want to be that guy. So it's kind of this thing where you just push each other day in and day out to be better, especially in practice.
Quick shot, and Ruby will hold on for the save.
Jordan, do you feel like you're almost stepping into the light here out of the shadow of Shane?
No, obviously he left a pretty high standard to meet. But like last year, obviously he was the best of all of us, and I learned a lot from him. He was like a little mentor, so to say. So anyways, now he's gone. Obviously we both have to pick it up, but I think now it's good because now we know we have to play better.
Just the fact that Shane was a great goalie. He was very patient and everything like that, and during games he was absolutely outstanding. And it's something to where it kind of sucks that the fact that you had to sit on the bench and watch for personally me 2 years. But then again, and I learned a lot from him, watching him and seeing how he handled game situations and stuff at a different level than where I had previously came from. And it's one of those things that watching him for 2 years kind of made both of us and him 1 year more hungry.
Got goalie? Well, the Tigers do tonight. Josh Watson.
Wayne has, when he has a situation where he has 2 goaltenders, he feels we've seen in the past where he'll ride 2 goaltenders the entire year. Would you be okay with that scenario, Jordan, if it's Josh on Friday and you on Saturday throughout the course of the season?
Both of us, we're used to playing a lot of games, so we get in that mentality, I just want to play every game. But when you get in the college atmosphere, just with all the extra stuff with school and homework and like workouts, practices, it is a long week and it does get very tiresome. And so yeah, as long as we're winning, we're both playing well, I think that's a fair situation.
It's a lot longer season than what you actually think it is and how hard we work for it. So I think keeping 2 guys fresh throughout the entire season and seeing how it works out during playoffs is something that could help out a team.
Jordan, you're a psychology major.
Yes, I am.
How much of the position you play is actually up here?
People always think how goalies are a little different, a little weird, and I always tell them, like my other teammates and people, and like, well, try talking to yourself for a full 60 minutes. Like players and forwards, they go on the bench, they can talk to their line mates, but here, us goalies, we're internet, no one else to talk to. But I don't know, psychology is a big mind game because it's our only job is to stop everything, and it's impossible. We wanna, but we're going to fail a lot. So you got to learn how just to recover. And what I always tell myself is what separates the good from the great is that delayed after you make a mistake. So how well you can recover after that.
Ruby making the save on Doobie.
Welcome back to SportsZone. In 2007, Steve Pinizzotto became the first RIT hockey player to sign an NHL contract. In 2010, Kristen Ev did the same, and later that season became the first former Tiger to play in the NHL. As Kristen Klock reports, a current member of the team is RIT's first NHL draft pick.
Like most hockey players, Anthony Hamburg started skating when he was just a toddler.
I started playing hockey when I was 2.5 years old. My mom would take me and my brother to the rink, and we just learned. She took us skating all the time. She went to Denver University, and she knew all the hockey guys there, so she developed a love for hockey for us.
Hamburg developed a love for the game, and as he grew older and continued to play, scouts started to take notice. In 2009, at just 17 years old, Hamburg was drafted in the 7th round by the NHL's Minnesota Wild. What were your emotions when you found out?
Obviously, I was excited. I was scared a little bit. Didn't really know what to think, but it was definitely a happy moment because obviously you work your whole life playing hockey. You want to do something with it. So it was a fun experience, and you definitely feel accomplished, but you also have to, keep working harder and realize that there's a bigger goal for you now.
After being drafted, Hamburg enrolled at Colgate, but quickly realized he wasn't ready to play college hockey. So he returned to the USHL for 2 years before enrolling at RIT this fall. Why did you decide to go back to college hockey after thinking that it wasn't right for you at Colgate?
I was definitely more mature, more aged. I had got stronger and all that. Just more mature aspect of personal life and also physically, and so I'd do better in college hockey.
Why did you decide to come to RIT?
I just felt like it was the right fit for me. When I came here, I loved it.
Anthony's RIT's first NHL draft pick. Can you tell with him right now that he has that potential?
I think there's a lot of work still ahead of for Anthony, and I would say that to anyone. I think being drafted, for some players, they think they've made it once they've been drafted when it's just the start. Right now, for him being drafted, it just shows that Minnesota was very interested in him enough to draft him, and now that he's somewhat owned by them or he's their property, he's got to develop his game and trying to reach what would be the next goal. And he can't really be thinking about the future too much. He really's got to focus on how he's doing presently, from day to day in practice to weekend in games.
Hamburg hopes his time at RIT will ready him for the next level. So what sort of things do you think he still needs to develop to get to that next level?
I think his head and his hands are really his asset. He thinks the game very well, and he's got very good hands. I think he's got to get quicker. His first steps have to get quicker, and he got himself into good shape this summer and lost some weight, and I think that will go a long way. Now, strength is another factor to go along with that.
What do you think you will gain from playing hockey here at RIT
I think I'll gain more experience, obviously. I think playing with a more mature team will help me mature even more physically and, mentally and on the ice. Playing against bigger kids and stronger kids always makes you better.
Can you tell when your players are ready to go pro, like with Tanev?
I don't think we'll have many players, if any at all, that are going to make the jump right from RIT right to the NHL. I think that's a very big jump, and Chris was as close as it comes to that. I think most of our players are going to have to spend some time in the minors and develop their game further and get to know the pro game a little bit more before they can make that jump. And that's just where RIT is in the pecking order. I think if you had a team like Michigan or Minnesota or Boston College, those type of teams, you're more likely they're coming in more prepared to make that jump right off the get-go. They're just bigger, stronger players right off the bat. So a lot of the players we have some great assets, and then they have some things that they need to work on, and so that's what our job is, just trying to develop that.
Each year, RIT Athletics honors its past by recognizing the most outstanding athletes, coaches, and contributors to sports here in the Brick City.
The 44th annual RIT Sports Hall of Fame induction ceremonies were held in October at Locust Hill Country Club. 6 new members were enshrined, including former wrestler Dave Siaka, swimmer Carolyn Coster, women's soccer player Carolyn Rivers, Mike Lawson and Dan Hickey of the RIT men's soccer program, and former hockey standout Al Vyverberg. As Lauren McShane reports, since leaving RIT 36 years ago, Al Vyverberg and hockey have been inseparable.
Since the very beginning, Al Vyverberg's life has always been about hockey.
Where did your passion for hockey come from?
Well, I grew up playing pond hockey, and which not many kids do now, and I couldn't get enough. And my poor dad, who was a big brain guy, wanted me to follow in his footsteps, and I did not. And so I just couldn't get enough hockey. And
Vyverberg attended RIT in the mid-70s and became one of the Tigers' all-time greats as a forward and defenseman. He still ranks 14th on the school's all-time scoring list.
Let me tell you, all 4 years were a lot of fun. I had great teammates. It was great hockey, and I just loved being a hockey player at that point, especially for RIT. Hockey at RIT had a name a long time ago, obviously not Division I, but had a real good name years ago, and they continued that tradition. So it's nice to say you played at RIT, we had good crowds, and we're glad that they're doing so well now.
After graduating in 1976, Al made the transition from a player to a coach.
Was it hard to make that transition from player to coach after you graduated?
Well, it's really funny because I'm old now, and I still enjoy playing more than coaching, but I truly enjoy coaching. It wasn't that hard because I wanted to stay in the game, and that's one of the reasons a lot of guys take up coaching, because they want to stay in the game, they enjoy it, and it's the second best thing in my mind to playing is coaching. I think one of the reasons I've continued coaching is that I didn't get enough when I was a kid. I didn't start early. I didn't get the burnout that we worry about. I never could get enough of the sport of hockey, and I guess you could say it's in my blood.
You've been coaching the McQuaid High School team for the past 25 years. How has RIT helped prepare you to take on this role?
Well, no one talks much about my former coach at RIT, but he wasn't a very good hockey player, but he was a student of the game, and I learned an awful lot from him, and really his knowledge of the game helped my basis of coaching. I knew I wanted to coach at some point, but him being a student of the game allowed me to realize that I've got to learn more about this game besides being a player.
In 25 years at McQuaid, Al has led the Knights to numerous victories, including the New York State Championship in 2005.
You're only as good as the players that you have, and I had some great determined hockey players, and they wanted to do something that year. Obviously, you don't know till you win it that you're going to do something like that. But that was one of my, as a coach, one of my most fondest memories.
This past season, you set the record for the coach with most wins in Section 5 history. What's it like to hold this title?
It's an honor. Having grown up in Rochester and known most of the coaches over the years and a lot of players through the years, it's an honor. I've known some great coaches that could have been ahead of me if they were at McQuaid. I'm very fortunate to have coached at McQuaid because I always have competitive teams and competitive kids. But overall, it's quite an honor to be that.
His passion and dedication to the sport has paid off. In October, he was inducted into the RIT Sports Hall of Fame.
Please welcome Hall of Fame inductee Al Vyverberg.
Well, it was a great honor. I didn't think it was ever going to happen. In the back of my mind, I thought I might be a candidate. I think I was actually nominated a couple times, but overall it was a fantastic honor.
In addition to coaching, you also manage your own skating institute. Can you tell us a little bit about the institute and the inspiration behind it?
This was RIT's first rink, and I've enjoyed working here. I'm actually just completing my 32nd year here. I didn't even know if I was going to stay two, and that's how jobs work. But I've enjoyed this. The inspiration comes from the kids that come in and play hockey. I really enjoy coaching kids, working with kids, but especially seeing kids with a smile on their face skating and playing the sport of hockey. To me, that's inspiration in itself.
Tennant led the RIT women's basketball team in points, rebounds, and blocks her freshman season, en route to Conference Rookie of the Year honors.
Tennant was ready to pick up where she left off when her sophomore season tipped off last year, but as Marissa Bromley reports, the center was sidelined after a serious medical scare.
What happened for you to notice this problem?
It was in practice last December, and we were in another kind of half-court drill, and my heart kind of just started pounding in my chest, and I was getting really lightheaded. And I kept going, just thinking, I knew I had ignored stuff like this in the past. There was one episode I can remember in high school that we were in a summer scrimmage, and my heart just went off and I had to pull myself out of the game. But I went over to Missy and just said, "Missy, my heart is pounding right now." And she's like, "What do you mean?" She felt it, and she couldn't even get a track on it, just counting it. So she had me sit down and just take deep breaths and stuff because they were worried if it was an anxiety attack or something other than that. And it wasn't coming down for about 5-10 minutes. It was still up at that high level, and that's not good for your heart. So she ended up calling the team doctor, and he sent me to the hospital that night.
What is the condition that you have?
Well, it's called supraventricular tachycardia, or better known as SVT, and it basically means I had an arrhythmia of my heart where my heart would start pounding at an excessive beat after nothing was really triggering it, except it was being triggered during exercise, but not really the stressful part, more of the light down exercises. So my heart will go over 240 beats per minute, and normally that's not really good.
When did the whole possibility of surgery arise?
I was getting all ready for our game, and then Ben called me in and said, "We talked to your cardiologist and you can't play until you see this doctor." And when I went and saw the specialist, he basically told me that I had 3 options. We could do nothing, and then I would become a liability basically to RIT, and they would have to weigh the possibility of me not playing. The second option would be to go on beta blockers, which would inhibit my performance on the court because they can make you sluggish, they can make your cardiovascular abilities not as great, and you're going to just be tired a lot easier. And then the third option was surgery.
Was there ever any doubt in your mind that, maybe I should just take care of myself and put basketball on the back burner for now?
The first thought was, how long do I have to sit out for? And if that had happened outside of season, that wouldn't have been my first thought. It would have been a little more nerve-wracking, but
I think having the team to get back to and having a goal to get back to was really important and really helpful for me.
Did you have to take any time off of working out or do any specific workouts to kind of get back into it?
You think heart surgery and you think people lying in bed for a couple months, but the way technology has made it, I was able to walk out of the hospital, not even have to be in a wheelchair. So I was able to convince my doctor that I could play the following week as long as I didn't do any athletics, no working out, nothing whatsoever, because typically the recovery period is you take a week completely off and then you have slowly, gradually get into it. I think playing in those games, that was something I needed mentally. I don't know, like it would have been a long 6-7 months till we played in our next game for me to wonder if I could do it again.
Do you feel like you're back to 100% or do you still have some ways to go?
I think I'm working on it, but I think that the way our team is gelling right now and the way that our team is coming together with all our new people and our returners is really going to make for a fun season, and I'm really glad to be back on the court with them.
Well, that does it for this edition of RIT SportsZone. Don't forget, we're always on at RITSC.com.
And you can also stay up to date with SportsZone by following us on Twitter and friending us on Facebook.
So until next time, thanks for joining us in the zone.